gone, still on the ride. Mike and Need be side by side, talking thrills from coast to coast, celebrating what we love the most. Turn it up, feel the vibe, join the thrill of this ride. Hold on tight, it's time to go. Here it is, Coaster Radio.
This is your announcer, Neil Patrick Harris. Welcome to the 20th anniversary season of Coaster Radio. Here are your hosts, my close personal friends, Mike Collins and E.B.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the original theme park podcast. You are listening to Coaster Radio. My name is Mike. I am here with my friend E.B., and we are ready to talk theme parks and thrill rides.
That's right, Mike. This is a really fun episode of CoasterRadio.com. It's one of the ones that we start off the year with. And I think it's kind of the last one, I think. It's our listener survey show. At the end of every season of Coaster Radio, we put out a survey to the listeners. We ask you guys to give us feedback on the podcast. And on this episode, we're going to look at those survey results. That's coming up in the second half of the show.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about that? It's ironic because there are people who are in the listener survey who say, I hate it when you talk about the listener survey. So like that, it's kind of hilarious that we
but
are.
How would we know if you don't do the survey?
Exactly. But for those of you who hate the listener survey, fear not, because EB and I have a ton of news to get to. In fact, so much news because the last 2 weeks we've been on with Arthur Levine talking about all of the new attractions that are coming to parks in 2025. So if you have not heard those episodes yet, you got to check those out. Those are fantastic. Also, check out our social media. Check out Instagram. Check out YouTube. In fact, if you watch the YouTube version of last week's show, you actually see all of the roller coasters as we talk about them. There's a ton of social media out there for season 20, EB. We're really stepping that up. So I hope people are following us on YouTube. I hope people are following us on Instagram because you see a lot more of us. I don't know if that's a good thing. We'll find out in the 2025 listener surveys. But
tired of your face, Mike.
Yes, exactly. But the thing is, we will have a ton of news because so much happened while we were with Arthur the past 2 weeks. So for those of you who are, kind of worried, like, oh no, it's going to be a listener survey show, don't worry about it. We've got a ton of news, and some of it is coming up right now.
That's right. It's the listener survey show. That's in the second half of the show. But, Mike, the first half of the show starts with the first drop.
Oh, and I feel like this is kind of a win for you tonight, EB. I mean, we did the Coasterdamus episode 3 weeks ago. Is it already time to crown you a 2025 Coasterdamus because of news out of Walt Disney World that you foresaw, and now I think we have proof that it is true?
I'm trying to remember which prediction this was because my 2024 prediction was that we would not hear anything from Disney about Galactic Star Cruiser. So I got that one right. Did I re-up that? Did I re-up that prediction?
I believe.
Or did I say that they will say something about Galactic Star Cruiser in 2025?
I thought I remember you saying that we would never hear about it again.
But we did hear about it because they're going to turn the hotel into office space for Imagineers. So I got it wrong, I guess, is where it really comes down to.
But in a way, I'm sort of giving it to you because you were saying...
It's not an attraction.
Yeah, you said that it would never be talked about as the attraction.
I will not let you give me the point because I meant we would never hear them ever mention it again, like it never existed.
All right. Well, in that case...
I got it wrong.
All right. But I still want to give you at least some props because you said we would never see the Galactic Star Cruiser fly again.
Definitely never an attraction again. And I am surprised by this news. This is fantastic, though, that we're learning that they're turning the Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel into office space for Disney Imagineering. Is that right?
Yeah. So I
have so many questions.
I know. I want to talk about this for like 10 hours if we could. So, of course, at Walt Disney World, all of these big projects are going on. All of these brand new construction projects at Magic Kingdom and other places throughout at the other parks as well, at Animal Kingdom, at Hollywood Studios, everywhere. So Imagineering right now, from what I understand, is working in a small space behind Epcot. just some small office space there, but they need to spread out. They need more room. So I guess Disney started looking around the property and said, well, do we have any other spaces that we're not using right now?
Do we have a giant building that we're not using? Actually, we do, boss.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
okay. And I want to talk
Remember
about
that lady we fired?
Yeah. Jeez. I want to talk about what that's going to be like in a moment. But here's the thing a lot of people don't know. And this is what I believe is happening. I'm not a financial expert or a tax expert, but they wrote off the failure of that Galactic Star Cruiser.
I don't know what that means. I think that was an episode of Seinfeld, wasn't it? Where it's like, they just write it off.
Yeah, just write it off.
Jerry, they just write it off.
From what I understand, they wrote it off in the taxes, but what that meant is that they could not use it as an attraction. So they can't say,
okay, it's a failed attraction.
Yes.
So we're just going to claim it as a failure.
Right.
But if they then made it a successful attraction by opening it up for day use or making it something else,
right,
it could. Okay. I like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that is the reason why we're not seeing, like you and I thought, they could just bring some people in and do. People come in for dinner, have a dinner show or something like that, see the lightsaber battle and everybody go home. Well, no, they're not able to do that because of the tax reasons. So here they have this big, empty, multi-million-dollar building, I guess, with a ton of special effects and a ton of places to sleep, I guess. And are they just going to turn all of the bedrooms into office space? Is that
I'm assuming that that's exactly what they're doing, right? They're going to have an employee cafeteria that's going to be the restaurant.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
They're going to have the lobby be the lobby. And then all of the hotel rooms, because there were mostly just regular sized hotel rooms, but there were a couple of suites. I'm expecting that it's going to be like 2 cubicles in each room or something like that. And then every office has a private bathroom.
I don't know.
Now, my question is, are they going to knock out are they going to get rid of the screens and actually give them windows, or do they have to have screens?
Oh yeah, they got a fake window, like fake.
Be like, man, I feel like I've been here for a long time. Well, it's still sunny out. Can't be that late in the day.
It's going to be like Back to the Future 2, where you can change the screen, to whatever background you want or whatever view you want.
The glitchy palm trees.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
So, but I remember one of the complaints about Galactic Star Cruiser was that the rooms were pretty small, and they were like you were on a cruise, like very tight. So will you have room to put a desk in there? Where
that's
the beds
a
were?
Good sized office, though. I mean, if you're talking about a room that had, even if it just had a dresser and a small closet and a queen sized bed.
Yeah.
That's still a pretty good sized office.
You're right.
I don't know how big your office is, but that's a pretty good sized office.
I mean,
and you get your own private bathroom.
Yeah. Think about it. If you took a hotel and you turned it into office space and you just had office all down the hallways, I'd be pretty happy.
And you control your own thermostat.
Yeah, right? Yes.
That's better than most offices.
Yeah, and like you said, you've got your own bathroom too. And my question is, though, here's what's weird. And I don't blame Imagineering for the failure of this project, right? I blame
maybe
the
you
money.
Should?
Well, I blame the people who put the price tag too high.
Okay, so they did Imagineering not imagine the $3,000?
Yeah, I don't think so. Or maybe they did. I don't know. But how weird is it if you're an Imagineer to be reminded every single day?
Maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's part of it. Is we're going to make you be inside this. Never do this again.
Yeah. Ugh.
This is a right. Well, that's why they made the Disney animators be inside the black cauldron.
Yes, there you go. Yes.
And they came up with The Lion King and Little Mermaid.
Yes.
Right.
Sit inside this cauldron until you come up with a hit.
Inside. You'd failed us. Yeah. Now you must be inside.
Yeah. That would be like you or me if we did a really bad TV show and then they made us work on the set of the television. Yeah, you have to live in it and work in it and Ooh.
Yeah, it's like we have to do this podcast for 20 years.
Yeah.
No, you just have to keep doing it.
Just keep going. Celebrate it 20-year anniversary just to
now. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I wonder how much, and I'm really hoping they give us an insider look, or somehow we actually get to see inside the Galactic Star Cruiser after its offices. Because are they just going to tear off all of the fiberglass or whatever, the plastic that makes it fakey Star Wars, or are they going to keep it? That's the thing. Are you going to go to work as an Imagineer in a Star Wars cruise ship.
Right.
Because it would be kind of cool to keep it that way, right?
I know.
Where it would be like, and then like as you're working, a Wookiee would knock on your door and be like, "Bro, join me on a mission," and you had to go out there and help them. They still keep that interactivity part.
Right.
Like you would come in with your time card at 9 a.m. and punch in for your shift, and a Jedi would come and be like, "Are you a part of the Resistance? Come with me through this secret door." It's like, I got a meeting to go to. I got to get my coffee and talk to Bruce about the spreadsheets. It's like, no, come with me. We have to fight the Resistance. It's like, how come you didn't complete your HR forms? I'm really sorry. I had to load the torpedo tubes.
And what's that thing that they do the Jedi training, that orb that like fires things?
Yeah.
The training
It's like,
droid,
I had to dodge the training droid all afternoon. I'm really sorry I didn't finish. I sent you a message on Slack.
See, that's it. That's
That's
so
what it's going to be.
curious.
I want them to keep all of the theming and all of the storytelling, so the Imagineers still have to live inside the Galactic Star Cruiser. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And somebody in the comments says that, and somebody has to have a pillar blocking their view while they work.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah. Right.
Wow. I would laugh my ass off though if they actually made that restaurant into the cafeteria though, and you had to eat like the blue milk.
They're
and, like,
going to.
Weird.
Right? What else are you
things.
going to do with that space?
Yeah. But how weird?
Unless that's like the big it could be like the big conference room, like when they have an all staff meeting.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Oh, they'll never show us inside there, but how great would it be just to know what that was like?
Yeah, I want to see the offices.
It seems
I want to see.
so.
Yeah,
Those it was such screens. A high-profile failure that it's so funny that it's like, well, now we're going to take this failure and create more things inside of it. It's weird.
You know, on day one, when the employees move in there's going to be some people like, I'm wearing my bathrobe.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And sliding doors, I'm just going to be like, open the door with my hand.
But you know what?
Jedi mind trick.
You know, EB, how like office politics
You will approve my PTO.
Yes. Waving the hand.
We will approve your PTO.
Yes. But you know, EB, how office politics go. Like, obviously, there are going to be some Imagineers working in that building who were against Galactic Star Cruiser or didn't like the Imagineers who were working on it. And you know they're going to go in and just be like laughing the whole time that they're in there.
Told
like,
you so.
Look at this. Look at this officer.
So.
Yeah. So the whole I told you so. They should have let me run the thing. They should have let me be the executive producer.
Yeah, the whole time you're at your office, you're like walking down the hall to another meeting with your friend, and it's like, yeah, look at that door. Wouldn't have done it like that.
Right, exactly.
Who picked that light fixture?
Yeah. So
it does not look like it's from a galaxy far away.
I know.
Looks like it's from Home Depot.
Can you imagine? Like when this was all announced, nobody saw this coming? Like this, anybody who would have predicted this would have been a genius. But there's no way anybody saw the end of the Star Cruiser being this. So
I really want it to just turn into a terrible, terrible, bland, gray, cubicle filled office space and not be Star Wars themed at all. Like, it's like, and then the employees, maybe it's the flip side. The employees are all excited. They're like, we're going to be moving into the new office. It's going to be like Star Wars. And they go and it's like, they made it into, oh no.
Yes. It's all like taupe walls and stuff.
It's like Joe versus the volcano. They all have to.
So sad, man. Anyway.
That's great. Okay, that's good. That's a good first drop though, because that's one we just recently talked about there with all of the Coaster Damas and stuff. And I did get that one right last year, so I'm proud of myself for that one. Yeah,
you did. Yep. So that's just the first of many stories we're going to talk about tonight. We got a lot more though in our segment we call Quick Hits. Quick Hits. This is pretty exciting. Already looking ahead to 2026, Six Flags Over Texas has supposedly filed permits for their dive coaster, and it's looking big, man. The world's first giga dive coaster at 309 feet, if you are to believe what they have filed permits for.
This is what the Thusies are interpreting, right? So we know that the Six Flags Over Texas has filed for, I guess, approvals or filed for permits with the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, and this is for an amusement park structure is what the permits say, or the filings say. Yep. And they're calling it Project Ruby 1002 is what they're calling it. And the coordinates that are listed on the application are where Lava Bora was.
Yes.
Right, the bobsled roller coaster. And it also points out specific locations in the parking lot outside where Lava Bora was.
Yeah.
So that gives us a footprint of a roller coaster. There are 21 different height waivers or height approvals, I guess they're asking for. And those 21 height approvals they're saying are every time the roller coaster peaks, right, as it goes through its course, with the highest, yes, being 309 feet.
Wow.
Six Flags did put out a survey last year asking what attractions would you want in your park. One of them was a Giga Dive coaster.
Yeah.
Everything points to this being Six Flags Over Texas getting a Giga Dive coaster.
It's pretty great. And,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Some of the listeners in our Discord say that from what they are seeing, it even looks like the second element, which might be an Immelman, would be over 200 feet tall. So
yeah,
you're talking about a giant roller coaster here, man. That could be great.
Yeah, I mean the 21 different height measurements that they're saying they're between 162 and 309 feet. Now that doesn't make sense. They can't be all within that range. They must be a lot smaller than that. But yeah, this is going to be a big roller coaster. People were saying that if there was going to be a Giga Dive, it would have to do a tunnel. But this indicates, unless it also has a tunnel and goes more than 309 feet.
Right.
But yeah, this is going to be huge.
Yeah.
Really cool. Really
I like
cool.
stories like that. It's a lot of fun to hear stories like that. I don't like hearing stories like the next one we're going to talk about.
Right?
A lot of parks laying off full-time staff. We're not talking about people who run the roller coasters for a summer. We're talking about people who it's their careers at the parks. There were stories this week about King's Dominion laying off, depending on what paper you read, anywhere from 30 to 80 people. I think it was probably closer to 30. Carowinds did as well. They had some layoffs. So obviously things happening within Six Flags and Cedar Fair merging, or it may not even be that. It might just be that those two parks kind of taking a look at their workforce. And King's Dominion, for instance, canceled Winterfest for 2025. We might not see it come back again even. Maybe they just don't need as big a staff as they had, but you really got to hope this isn't going to hurt things going forward, because when you lay off that many people, it's people with a lot of institutional knowledge about your park. And, some of those people are integral to a good guest experience. So we'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you're hoping that they're laying off the right people. I mean, that's always the thing. But a lot of times, when the corporation comes through and lays folks off, they're laying off the wrong people, the people that really care about the parks and the people that really, like you said, Mike, they know the parks so well that have been around for a long time. It's like, well, let's buy out the old timers. It's like, well, there got some value. Don't be doing that too much.
Right. Yeah.
And it is an indication, I think, that the industry is kind of retracting a little bit, because we saw this weird after COVID expansion, especially with the year-round calendars and that sort of thing. And now the parks are starting to pull back from that, it seems like, and shrinking a little bit. We'll see how it really affects the parks. We keep seeing the stories come out, like you said, King's Dominion, Legoland, what was the other, a couple, Carowinds, some parks in California. So it's not good.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Legoland in California and Florida laid off hundreds of people, mostly in their entertainment area, and those are people again who've been there for years and
they'll
are
build
a big
back.
part of the. Yeah, they will, but it's not. It's
that was
it's
a
not
Lego
good
joke, Mike.
Yeah, I know, I got you. But it's true.
Okay.
What you said is true though. Build back, yeah. But it's true. A lot of times you
didn't get enough of a reaction, Mike.
I know. Well, I'm sitting here worrying about the
people's jobs, and I'm making puns.
Yeah.
Okay,
but it's true though, because a lot of times what will happen is they will shrink their workforce, and then you find 6 months later, a year later, they're like going on a wild hiring spree again. So
and that's the bad thing, especially if they're laying off people that have been around for a long time, like you were saying. If they're laying off people that have high salaries because they've been with the parks for a decade, 2 decades or more, and then it's like, well, we laid you all off, and then 2 years later, it's like, now we can get these entry level guys to backfill.
Yeah,
that's not cool.
Yeah,
that's not cool.
What's not fun though is the article. Where's this article? The one about King's Dominion. Let me see if this was in a local, local news, WTVR, CBS 6 in Richmond. I mean, it's unfortunate because the stories they were hearing were from some of the people who were laid off, and they were talking about how King's Dominion brought these people into a room and they said, hey, well, you've done a great job here over the years, but sorry, you're done. you've got 10 minutes to get your stuff and get out. You know,
What?
and
Wow.
yeah, and that's what this article is talking about here. You know, right here on the WTVR website, and I'm paraphrasing it, but they basically said, you know, they were you know, basically told to collect their things, and managers are there saying, hey, you need to move a little faster, you know, like, and it's an emotional thing for these people, but it's too bad that that's the way it happened. And that's the way it happens so many places, so many corporate places. They're like, you know, you get your termination notice and they don't want you hanging around saying your goodbyes. They want you, you know, out the door, but it's too bad.
What was it, Mike? At the place that we worked, where we had we had some layoffs that came through, and I think we had a staff meeting, and the studio was across the hall from the conference room. And as you came down the hallway for the staff meeting, there, the HR person was standing in the hallway. Oh. And as each employee came down the hallway, they said, you're in the conference room, you're in the studio, you're in the conference room, you're in the studio.
Yes.
And then they told the people in the one room, everyone else in the other room is laid off.
Yes. We're like, oh, shit. Like, oh, that was bad.
Yeah, it can be cruel. It can be cruel.
Yeah. And what if she messed up and sent somebody in the wrong room? Like, just, yeah, that was bad. That was bad.
I love that story. I tell it all the time.
I know.
That's great.
And it
10
really
minutes,
happened.
though, to clear out your stuff. My office is full of junk. It's as big as a hotel room, and I got it full of stuff, Mike.
Yeah.
It'd take me a lot longer than 10 minutes to move out of my office.
Man. If I ever get let go, like I'm going to fight, because I'm not going to like, I have so much stuff, like valuable stuff in my office. I am not going to let them box it up. There's no way I'd let them box it up. I'd be like, you guys are going to break it.
When you see the people with like the one box, like taking their stuff out, I would need like a moving van. Yeah. I have so much stuff in my office. I've been there for like 16 years. Right.
Yeah. I've got so much stuff in there, but I don't trust them to get it all to me in one piece. And like, yeah, so I'd be like, sorry. I'm backing up my truck to the loading dock and I'm bringing everything down. You need to give me an hour for all that. So,
right.
I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a bummer.
Anyway.
But then I wonder, what do you do? Like if you have a specific job in the theme park industry at King's Dominion, there's no park that's like near you at that point. So like, what are you going to do? Go to Busch Gardens? Like, but that's like an hour and a half away. Well, like, do you have to move? Like, do you have to find some other job that's somewhat like, that's really hard. That's really hard for people.
We see it all the time where we get people that move from industry to industry, but you're doing the same job function. So I imagine there's going to be a lot of that kind of a thing where it's not necessarily specific to theme parks, but I would hope that if you work in a theme park, that's what you love and that's what you want to do. And you would not be happy, you know, moving from a PR job at King's Dominion to doing, you know, a PR job at United Healthcare.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Matt says there's a Dave and Buster's everywhere. You just go to Dave and Buster's.
And those I do like Dave and Buster's.
Close enough.
Yeah, there you go.
Close enough.
There you go.
Yeah, so just go work at the arcade.
So last week we had Arthur Levine on. We talked about a bunch of new roller coasters opening in 2025. One of the ones that he was most excited about is Siren's Curse at Cedar Point. And this week it was topped off. But most times when we talk about a roller coaster being topped off, we talk about the piece of track at the very tippy top, you know, that goes into the first drop.
The big hill, yep, sure.
In this case, have you seen like the giant oil rig looking platform that they put up on top, like 160 feet in the air? That thing's gigantic.
We always said this looked like something that belonged in a shipyard.
Yes.
Right? It's just this gigantic steel, platform that has the cross beams and all that stuff for this tilt track. This is the Vekoma tilt coaster. It's going to be the first one to open probably in the United States because they're not going to get circuit breaker before it down in Texas. But they not only built that whole structure, and then people were posting, it's got the structure, it's been topped off, and it looks just like an industrial something.
Yeah.
But I did see, Mike, I think it was either today, yesterday, or the day before, they did lift up that piece of tilt track.
Yes,
and it's actually up there now too, which looks really, really cool.
Yeah, and I was watching the video that they posted about it, which was really interesting because the engineering team was talking about exactly what they have to do, and so now that big platform is up there, like you said, they're adding the pivot point.
Yep,
and it's going to take something like like a super long time to get that part right, and I guess that's like the main crux of the whole thing. So. It's fascinating. Yep. Yeah. Like all the pistons and stuff that have to go underneath it. Like, so that's a lot of work up there, man. But in the meantime, they're getting the other pieces of track in place, but it's really all about that big platform up there. Pretty wild.
Oh, it really is, because that's what makes it so scary, isn't it? Is that you've got this pivot point, and I just kind of imagine there's one pin, right? That's holding it together. And it's like, well, wait a minute. There's a fat guy in the back and a skinny guy in the front. Is this going to work? It does make me nervous. It still makes me nervous. It's still would you ride this? I mean, it really is.
You said last week that you thought it would have short lines because people might not ride it. Like, I think
this is going to be. I'll ride anything. I don't care. Okay. But I absolutely think this is going to be a ride that is going to scare people the way that, in the 70s when the first loop hit the parks and people were like, I can't go upside down.
Huh.
Right. This is going to be something that's going to terrify people.
Yeah. Is there one ride that's out there that you would not ride? And it doesn't have to be roller coaster. I'm talking about any type of like amusement park experience, or even
I can think of a lot of countries that I wouldn't ride a ride.
Yes.
In.
Oh, sure. Yes. Yeah. But something in the States. Is there something here in America where you're like, even some of those like weird drop ride, like jumping off the stratosphere? Would you do that?
Ooh, that's not really a ride.
But I'm including.
I said
everything.
I would. I mean, we had the plan for the Las Vegas meetup, and I said I was going to do it, to jump off the stratosphere. Mm-hmm. I have no interest and do not want to do things like jump off the stratosphere, go bungee jumping, or any of those things. I would do it if pressured. Right? I don't think I'm scared, but it's not something I'm choosing to do or I'm pursuing to want to go do.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm scared of any rides. I'm not going to go. I don't want to be. Is it like a horrible American thing to say that I don't want to go to a foreign country and ride a roller coaster because I've seen too many of those flat rides like fling people off of them?
Well, I mean, they might have different safety regulations than we do here. They might.
Different as in none?
Yeah, it could be. For me, though, I did all the rides on top of the stratosphere, but I will not do the thing where I jump off it. That's not for me. I would not do it. No.
Okay. Well, and you don't like carnival rides either. I'm not
a big fan of those either. Yeah.
Yeah. They do scare me a little bit, and I do get nervous about them, but I'll ride them.
Yeah. But you're right. This Siren's Curse is something that I would do it, but I would do it in the same way that I did the Lex Luthor Drop of Doom at Magic Mountain, with me kind of going, I don't really want to do it, but I'll do it because I want to experience it and talk about it.
Right, that's the thing. Well, you face your fears and take a challenge kind of a thing. This is not fun. This is an accomplishment.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
For me, like that, this is not something I would look forward to or need to drive to Cedar Point to do because it's a little...
after the drop, it's going to be fun. I mean, there is a lot of ride after the drop on Siren's Curse. That's really cool. Yeah. But I could do without the tilt track part.
Yeah. I'm going to be excited to watch it, though. I'm going to be very excited to see it. Like, it's going to be cool to see.
I'm excited to ride it. It'll freak me out, but
yeah, it'll be fun.
I can do it once and be done.
Yep. Hey, so we've been.
Although I would like to take other people on it. That would be fun.
Yes, that would be fun.
After you've ridden it once, make other people ride it for the first time. That would be fun.
Yeah,
good.
Okay. We're going to take a break here in a minute, but let me tell you about a couple of things. First, I was reading today about a new documentary that's being produced by a team here.
I saw this too.
Did you see it? Yes, they're in Virginia. They are doing a documentary about the entire saga of Disney's America. And for those of you who don't know, that was a planned theme park that was going to be here in Northern Virginia, where my part of the studio is. And it was going to be a theme park built by Disney out by the Manassas battlefields that was going to be about American history.
Yeah, it was another Disney amusement park, a theme park, and the theme was American history. And I think all of the lands were different eras of American history. And so there really was going to be like a Civil War, a Revolutionary War. There was going to be like an Americana and a Wild West. They were going to build it, though, out in Haymarket, I think. Right. And so there was the controversy of, number one, traffic.
Right.
And number two, you guys are trying to build this thing about America on actual Civil War battlefields.
Yeah. People didn't like that. Yeah.
But come on, Northern Virginia, you build shopping malls on Civil War battlefields. Every part of Virginia is a Civil War battlefield. I never liked that argument at all about, rejecting Disney's America. This was in the mid 90s.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I think is when this was. And what's the company? Shenandoah Studios. They finished the doc, I guess, and they're in the last phases of post-production is what I was reading. And it's going to premiere sometime this year, and they're going to take it on festival circuits. I'm really excited. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. So we have reached out to them and asked them to appear on the show to talk about that, and we can talk about Disney's America, because that was talk about a failure. It's not often that Disney fails, and that was something that they really wanted. Like Michael Eisner, who was CEO at the time, really wanted that, and I mean, it was close to being done. But I'm with you. I think the people who opposed it used the Battlefield argument when it was really about, I'm worried about my, the cost of my house.
Oh, it was a not in my backyard. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't want the traffic, and I don't want my property values plummeting, and I don't want cheap hotels around that's what it was about. And now what's out on that exact land? You need a bunch of homes, multi-million-dollar homes are out there on that.
Sprawl. Yes. Sprawling suburbs of Washington, D.C., where you could have had a Walt Disney World park. What are you idiots? You missed out on an opportunity. It could have been so much fun. It could have been really cool. And if you don't know anything about it, somebody in the chat is saying that Defunctland did a YouTube video about this. There's plenty of videos about Disney's America, about the plans, about what it was going to be. It was going to be very different. It had rides and attractions, but it absolutely had a quasi-educational component to it. I think kind of like the original incarnation of California Adventure.
Right.
Where it was trying to be a little bit of that.
Right.
But yeah, it's too bad it never came to be. But this documentary is going to be great. If we can get these guys on the show to talk about it, I think a couple of guys that grew up in Northern Virginia, Mike, they ought to, come on.
Yeah.
Talk to us.
I remember like some of the attractions, they had like an Industrial Revolution roller coaster that looked pretty cool. They had a whitewater.
All of the ride attendants and cast members are children.
Yeah. Right. They had like a whitewater rafting ride. Then they even had like a kind of turn of the century Americana like boardwalk with a seaside roller coaster and stuff. So they had a lot of things that were going to be interesting. And to me, it's like a lament for me, because that park was going to open the year I graduated college. And
you've talked about this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. It could have been a complete life changer, because I would have gone to work there. And who the hell knows what would have happened by this time? Like I would have loved to gone and work for their like media or marketing or something like that. It would be a completely different life probably. So it's a bummer. I think about that often, how great it would be to have a Disney park so close to where I grew up, and to try to make a career out of it. Would have been great.
All right, you got to go into the alternate universe.
I know,
right?
Future
style.
I wish there was a way to do that. I think about that often, like how cool it would be to like jump universes and see what it would, just with small little changes, what things would be like. I started writing a screenplay about that once, but it was too depressing.
Starring Ashton Kutcher?
Yeah, that's right. Digging Butterfly Effect. That was a weird movie, man.
I like that movie when he wakes up and he has no hands.
Oh, that was freaky. That was a freaky movie.
Some people are like, yeah, I remember that too. And other people
scary.
are like, what are you talking about?
Oh, and the whole like jail scene was scary. And then like the funny part for me is like
all great.
The bad guy in one thing, he's like the worst guy. And then he's like a religious preacher in the like next life and stuff. It's just so weird.
That tracks. Yeah, both bad.
Yeah. It's just crazy, man. That was a weird movie. But when it's on, I watch it. I'm like, oh, this is great. Butterfly
Effect. I love
Effect.
that movie.
Ashton Kutcher, man.
Yeah, good.
That dude annoys me, but he has been in movies that I like. I like that one, and I liked Just Married. He made me laugh in that one, but that's the only thing he's ever made me laugh in.
Okay.
Mostly I laugh at him, not with him.
So you talked about this at the beginning of the show, Mike. There's so much news. We have even more quick hits. Are we going to take a break and do more, or you want to do them now?
Yeah, let's take a break.
Yeah.
Before we do, though, let's remind people that next week is our first game show of the year. Big game show. And what we would like everyone to do. What day is it? Is it Wednesday, February 12th? Is that the right day? Yes, February 12th. We want you to join us at 9 p.m. Eastern at live.coasterradio.com. You are going to have a chance to participate in round one of a brand new game show that we are unveiling for season 20. It is called The Ultimate.
This is so much fun. You guys, we're going to talk about this in the second half of the show with the coasterradio.com survey. You wanted the game shows to come back. They've come back in a huge way for season 20. The ultimate Coaster Radio listener, the ultimate Coaster Radio fan. That's what we're looking for. So live.coasterradio.com. all season 20 long, you can come and watch us record the show, but you have to be a part of the show on February 12th, next Wednesday at 9 p.m., because we're going to play this game and we need you to participate.
Yes. What it's going to be is we've got 5 rounds throughout the season. So every other month we're going to play this game. I believe right now it looks like we can take up to 100 contestants per round.
I love this. Yes.
And you and I have to figure out the rules. We're going to figure out the rules exactly over the next week or so. But basically what's going to happen is you have to prove your knowledge of not only theme parks and thrill rides and amusement parks, but also of the show itself. So you've got to know a lot about both. But we will crown a winner next Wednesday night. That will be the winner of round 1. Then we'll have a winner of rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then in December of this year, all 5 of those contestants will join us live here at Coaster Radio to basically play one final round. And can you imagine? I mean, whittling it down from hundreds of people playing down to one ultimate.
The ultimate. It's next week, Wednesday, February 12th, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, live.coasterradio.com.
Yeah. Might be our greatest game show ever. So it's going to be so much fun. So
you might say it's the ultimate, Mike.
It's the ultimate of all time.
Of
all time. All right, let's take a break. And when we come back, we've got some pretty cool stories. We're going to talk about Haunted Mansion at Disneyland and some things that people are excited about, but also disappointed about. And I want to get your opinions on this Universal Fan Fest nights that they're having.
Yes.
You can be a fan of many different things because they're having a lot of different nights for a lot of different IPs. So we're going to talk about that too. We've also got the Coaster Radio mailbag, and we'll get into the listener surveys that some of you love and some of you hate. But we're going to find out that's the way it is with Coaster Radio. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Whatever we do, some people love it. Some people hate it. It's very interesting. We'll talk about it all when we come back.
This is Coaster Radio. Welcome back to the 20th anniversary season of Coaster Radio. Here are your hosts, Mike Collins and EB.
Welcome back, everybody, to the original theme park podcast. You are listening to Coaster Radio. My name is Mike. I am here with my friend EB. We're having a fun time talking about some of the news that we missed over the past few weeks. We were talking roller coasters and thrill rides coming up for 2025, but there was a lot of news happening at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we got to get through these last couple of quick hits here, Mike, so we can get to the listener survey.
Yes. So one thing that we did not get to talk about was the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland was had like a long refurbishment going on. And at the same time, they were building a gift shop. The gift shop opened early, but with a little bit of controversy because some people were saying that the gift shop itself, it looked like a prefabricated building that maybe Imagineering had nothing to do with, and that the internal Disneyland built it, because people were saying it does not look like it fits at all with the Haunted Mansion, or did it fit with like Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which was next to it? It just looked like this kind of strange thing. And then when you went inside, it was pretty good. Like, it's pretty well decorated and stuff, but people were complaining that it seemed to be decorated with things that you could buy at Home Depot or World Market or like some type of store. And on the wall, EB, was an AI generated
I saw
portrait.
This part. Yes, I saw this part where it was something that was very blatantly like an AI piece of artwork that was up on the wall as a piece of theming inside the gift shop. So yeah, this is not good, Disney. Are you just kind of, we can recognize, I mean, this is like the Star Wars hotel, right? We can tell when that sconce is from Lowe's or Menards.
Yeah.
We can tell that you didn't make this and we're not immersed if we can tell exactly what it is, right? You can't just take, we're going to talk about this next, I think, where the universal fan experiences. You can't just take something and say that it's part of the theme when we know what it actually is.
Yeah. And what was interesting is like a week or two later, one of the Imagineers came out and put out a statement saying, oh, well, that was just a placeholder while we're at you building and creating new things for that wall. So interesting. I wonder if they thought nobody would notice, but that piece of art
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. The piece of art that was up there, you can buy on Etsy. Like, I think they actually probably got it on Etsy, that somebody created it with AI, put it up there, and they were like, oh, this fits. So I don't know. And also, by the way, they're having to do construction on that gift shop right now because like water is coming in somehow. Like there's like water leaking into the thing. So
haunted water.
Yeah, maybe it is. But inside the Haunted Mansion, they have done a refurbishment. It was interesting. They did, the Haunted Mansion Holiday. That's been up for a while, but the Haunted Mansion regular version hasn't been online since, was it like June or July of 2023 or something like that? So that it's open right now. People haven't seen this version in a while. There's a new bride that is in there that kind of goes back to the original, like kind of sad and melancholy bride that was in there. Back the last time I was in Disneyland, they had a bride in there that was kind of like happy, like, holding a knife and happy that
I'm so glad I'm dead.
Yeah. But she was like happy that she killed her husbands and stuff. So this is a much more like sad bride that's up there. But and supposedly just some other enhancements and stuff throughout the Haunted Mansion. So it's cool.
You're a big Haunted Mansion fan. So are you excited to get out there and try this out and see what it's like for yourself? Do you have high hopes for it, or are you expecting that you're going to be disappointed?
No, I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see the new queue, because they've kind of built a lot more, an extended queue and more things to look at while you're out there. So you go through a garden, you go through a greenhouse. So I'm excited for that. I'm even excited to go in the gift shop, because what I saw inside didn't look as bad as Disney fans were making it out to be. It's a gift shop. Yes, I thought the outside could have been themed a little better and maybe had a different look that kind of fit with the mansion a little bit more, but it's a gift shop. You go there to ride the Haunted Mansion. You don't go there to critique the building.
Yeah.
So so we'll see. One thing though that I am bummed out about, because I'm going to be going out to California for my 50th birthday. Actually, my 50th birthday is this weekend. But the celebration is in a couple months. It's like in early April. And the bummer is, I was really hoping I'd get to go to Universal Fan Fest nights and do the Back to the Future one, because they are doing, let's see, what are they doing here? They're doing a bunch of different nights where you can go, and it's like an after hours event, and they have one for Star Trek, one for Back to the Future, one for Dungeons and Dragons, one for Harry Potter, one for Super Nintendo, and then some others I don't know. I don't know One Piece.
Well, I know One Piece. That's like that's an anime cartoon, but this other one I don't know, Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's another anime that I'm not familiar with. But each of these is sort of it's an interesting special ticketed event. It really seems to me like there's some sort of experience where you can do a walkthrough, like Star Trek. It looks like you can go into the bridge of the Enterprise D from Next Generation.
Yes, right.
Back to the Future, they're going to take you down to the Courthouse Square, right, which is already at Universal Hollywood. The other ones, there's other, like, it looks like maybe the Dungeons and Dragons one, maybe it's like an escape room kind of a thing, the way they describe it. And then there's a food option, and then special merch.
Right.
Is that enough for you, Mike? Is that enough?
Well, okay. There are a couple things. So the Back to the Future one.
I hate to be like super cynical about anything that anybody's doing special, but I feel like especially the Star Trek one, I did that in Vegas. Yeah. Right. I got the triangle shaped pizza at Quark's Bar, and it was like, you just made a pizza that's a triangle instead of a circle, and you called it like outer space pizza. And you gave me a beer with blue food coloring in it and called it Romulan Ale. That's not special. But I don't know. And I've been to the Courthouse Square for Back to the Future. So is this special, or what is this?
Well, I'm interested in the Star Trek one because they take you to the bridge of the Enterprise D, but it's not a replica of the set. It's the actual set that they used for Picard. So it's the actual real, like, so if you were a fan of that show, I've not even gotten to see it yet, but I've seen little clips on YouTube. It's not a Halloween Horror Nights recreation. It's the set that you'd actually walk on. So to me, that's interesting.
Well, it's not the actual Enterprise, Mike. It's still not the real thing.
It's not the real thing, Mike.
I mean, it's not the real one.
But for the Back to the Future,
they're all sets.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, they're all sets.
But it's not like some dude at Universal just created it.
Yes, Yeah, sidebar. I watched the Friends quiz show on HBO Max, and they shot it at the Friends Experience in New York, I guess, and it's awful.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so stupid because the Friends Experience in New York, it's like you're in Central Perk, and look, it's the recreation of the apartments, but they're so wrong.
Yeah, they're wrong. Yeah.
They're so wrong and
Right.
not accurate. And that would just really upset me as a fan. And watching that Friends thing on HBO is like, you're putting the actual scene from Friends next to this recreation. And I can tell it's not accurate at all. That would be my thing. Is I like that it's the real set. I will give you that. I like it's the real set because it is actually what I saw on screen. Back to the Future, it is the real Courthouse Square. It's exactly what I saw on screen. When I went to Universal, listeners know, I got to do the backstage tour and I saw the set for Superstore.
Yes, right.
The show. And it was perfect. It was so much fun. And then I got to go back and watch the show again and see where I was in the show. So I do like the fact that you are at Universal Studios Hollywood at the actual Hollywood sound stages and seeing it versus if they built this, say, at Florida, where it would be fake.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I got to see two sets. I saw the set for Blackish when I was on the Disney Studios lot.
Cool.
And also I was on the Disney Studios lot another time, and I saw, what was the show that came out after Lost? And it was supposed to be, I can't even remember what that show was. Remember that?
It was the one where the airplane and the people disappeared or whatever?
Something like that, yeah. And so I went onto that set too, and it was fun to go back and watch those shows and be like, oh, I walked through there. That's cool to see.
Yeah.
But here's the thing I like about this Back to the Future Fan Fest night is that they are turning the Courthouse Square back exactly as it was when they shot it for the first Back to the Future and make it look like the 1950s. So they're gonna reset it back to that. The other thing that I really like is at night they are going to recreate the finale scene where the DeLorean goes down the street and the fire trails. Imagine to be able to stand there and see that.
To watch the lightning strike and and then they're gonna have a Doc Brown actually like whoa, whoa!
Yeah.
And he's gonna go down, right? Like the zip line, right?
If they can recreate that and fans can stand there in the spot where they shot it, that to me is worth the pay. And I don't care about the merch, I don't care about the food and all the other stuff, but to be able to stand there and see a DeLorean fly by, and if they can somehow get the lightning to go, I don't know how they do that, but that would be worth it. Here's my bummer, and I'm going to say this out now because this is where I need, if there are any fans out there who could do something about this. The first night they're going to do this is April 25th, but I'm in Los Angeles early. I'm in there like the second week. But I'm assuming they probably are going to have Courthouse Square ready before that. So I need to see if I can get onto Courthouse Square to at least walk around and see it like set up like it was the 1950s again.
See it Back to the Future style. Yeah.
Yes. So I got to work on that, man.
With the Texaco station.
Yes.
And the diner. Yep.
And that's all I want. I just want 10 minutes to walk around. That's it. Maybe 15. Give me 15 to do just a lap around the whole thing and just.
Now, are you trying to get like Prince Mike Collins VIP access, or are you just trying to go to Universal? Because you could go and you could buy the VIP tour and go see it.
No. I want, if there's like a behind the scenes person who can be like, hey, I'm going to take you back here.
I got
here
you.
go.
I got you.
I'm going to take you and you can walk around.
Well, what's that movie script you wrote with Ashton Kutcher? Maybe you could pitch that, get it picked up.
Right, there you go.
Because the writers' cabins, the on-site artist retreats are right there next to the Courthouse Square, I think, on the Universal lot.
I'll knock on the door. Be like, Mr. Kutcher, let me in.
You'll just be there. That'll be like, you're going to be, they'll green light the project. No, I'm looking at the rest of these Fan Fest nights, and they're like, they do look kind of dumb, but I guess if you're a super fan, like I'm looking at the Yoshi one where you have to go and you find the Yoshi eggs that are inside the Mushroom Kingdom. There's a drone show that goes along with that one. Yeah, I guess if you're a super fan, you get whatever you can get. That's cool. That's fine. Yeah. But I feel like I've done the, I don't know. I kind of feel like I've done it.
Yeah, the Star Trek one.
In other things, right? I feel like I've done it in other ways.
Right. I think the
I met
greatest.
Doc Brown at Universal.
You did, yeah. And you're right, man. The greatest Star Trek recreation was Star Trek: The Experience. There was like
Star Trek Experience was so cool.
Yeah, that was incredible. In terms of just like talk about immersiveness. I don't know if anything's ever been done.
One of the earliest examples of really good immersion.
Yeah.
In an attraction. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Everything was so great about that. That was a bummer that they took that. And there was always talk about it going up somewhere else. They have it all stored somewhere. It could be built up again. They just haven't done it.
There you go.
Where the heck is that, Anyway, so there we go. There's all the news that is fit to be heard. We're going to do the listener surveys in just a second. But because we were doing those Arthur Levine shows, there's a lot backlogged here at Coaster Radio, including some packages, right?
That's right. We got some interactivity in the survey. But first, Mike, some interactivity where people send us stuff in the mail. I've got to open the coasterradio.com mailbag.
When the packages start to flow, Mike and EB say hello. Sending letters to the show, don't you wait.
Oof.
Oh, it's mailbag time, hooray.
This is coming up in the survey, Mike.
Let's hear what you say.
Just pot it down. Go ahead. Just end it now.
Yeah.
People don't like the new song, Mike. They want to hear Blues Clues, but it's copyright protected. It's just not the same without Steve Blue Diamond.
I know we can't do it. Yeah, I got an email from somebody said the mailbag song is a disaster. Is what somebody said.
Disaster? Yeah. That's pretty harsh.
I don't know if I would go so far as to call it a disaster, but
you got these pretentious artists in the AI, and they're like, okay.
To each his own, right?
Send us stuff to the coasterradio.com P.O. Box. It's coasterradio.com P.O. Box 3399, Bloomington, Indiana 47402. Mike, the first one I got here, it's something for both of us. I got two things I think that are for both of us because I did open the other one early. Mike and EB, thanks for featuring our 2025 CP Rundown calendar on the holiday gift guide. Sorry these took so long to get to you. We were waiting for a new shipment to send out. We hope you enjoy this year's edition. Thanks for all you do, and a huge congrats on starting the 20th anniversary season of your show. Keep up the amazing work. Your friends at CP Rundown.
Nice.
And The Rundown on Fun Podcast.
Oh, nice. Very good.
And here you go, Mike. Look, we got two of these. So it is indeed we used to get Coaster 101 calendars, but now we got the CP Rundown calendars.
Beautiful.
Calling out the Coaster 101 guys. Great photos of Cedar Point, the whole calendar.
I love it.
Really nice.
Oh, look at
really
those
nice
nighttime
calendars.
ones. Very good. Yeah.
Really good. So I'll send you one of these, Mike.
I appreciate that.
We got
Thank
two
you.
of them. And the other one's a box. And this one, I'm pretending to open it for the first time ever.
Yes.
But Matt knows that I already opened this one. It's from Matt and Kelly.
And by the way, this is what people asked for. They asked to see it on video. And if you go and watch our show on YouTube, you can see EB opening this on camera. Great.
Couple of things inside, Mike, but here's a note. Mike and EB, as Squidward would say, and why aren't you in uniform?
Yeah.
Time to dress to impress. Become the YouTube stars of 2025 and show off your brand.
Oh.
Mike,
Uh-oh.
you'll recall Matt sent us those wonderful, wonderful hoodies.
Yes, I remember those. Yes. Talk about
at
copyright
this.
infringement, EB. I remember a
Look at
big
this.
Hagrid on there. Yes.
Coaster Radio bowling shirts.
Oh, my God.
On the back, Mike.
Oh, my
Is that-
gosh. Oh,
Is
my
that logo
gosh.
big enough for you?
That is a
Look at this. And then look at
giant
this.
logo.
This is some graphic design here that, look at that on the sleeve.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
The original theme park podcast on the
That's
sleeve looks
original.
really good.
That's original. Look at that.
This is like a black. Is this? It is not silk. I was going to say it's a 100% polyester, Mike. This is a wonderful bowling shirt, black with white buttons.
Wow.
The coasterradio.com 20th season logo on the pocket.
Oh, my
20th
goodness.
season logo on the back, gigantic, and then the original theme parks podcast on the sleeve. Really cool. One for you, one for me.
How about
I'm going to
that?
send that with the Coaster 101 calendar.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm wearing an Alabama Crimson Tide sweatshirt tonight, but I will gladly wear a Coaster Radio 20th anniversary bowling shirt on an
Yeah,
upcoming
and then
episode.
Matt's note goes on to say, keep up the great work, gentlemen. Matt, the archivist, and Kelly, I expect to see you wear these on future live look-ins. We will be watching.
Yes. EB,
Sounds like a threat.
we'll coordinate and wear it together. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. Send that to you. That's great. So that's the best interactivity that we get. It's the coasterradio.com mailbag. Send us stuff to the P.O. Box 3399 Bloomington, Indiana 47402. We'd love to get stuff in the mail. But Mike, some people hate the mailbag. Some people like the mailbag. We know that because of the listener survey. Let's get into this.
Yes.
Let's get into the listener survey here.
Yes, we've got it. We asked listeners at the end of every season, we ask them to do this, but here at the end of season 19, we ask people to basically take 10 minutes out of their lives and answer, how many questions do we have? Like 15 questions about the show?
Yeah, and some of them are demographic, some of them are short answer. So it's a real diverse set of questions, but we really get to know the listeners really well, I feel like. So we appreciate everybody who filled out the survey. If you took the time to write something, especially at the end of the survey with those comment areas that we're going to talk about, if we don't mention your comment, believe me, Mike and I, we absolutely read them and took them to heart, but we can't go through everything.
Right.
Hundreds of responses to the survey. So we're just going to go through the highlights. Stats first, Mike. That's always where I think we start with the survey.
Yes.
We get some great demographic information about our audience that we want to share with you.
Yeah. And by the way, this is really important. We just put together what's called, like in marketing, called a one sheet. And because we had to send it to somebody pretty important to requesting something for the show. And they were asking, what are the listener demographics? And this is how we get them. So here it is. If you want to know in terms of like who's listening, in terms of male, female, that type of thing, 83.8% of the audience is male, 13.8% is female. And the other comes in at 2.3%. That is fascinating because I have the stats from Spotify right here.
Yeah.
And Spotify says we are 82.8% male. So look how close that is to exactly what the listener survey said here.
And that's pretty good, I feel like, because I think in our best years we've been around 20%.
Yes.
For ladies, and then the worst we've been around 10. So we're trending in the right direction, hopefully.
Yeah. And this is something I was thinking about today. Is just theme park enthusiasm mostly dudes? Or is it our podcast? Like, I'm trying to figure out.
Well, it's also who's responding to the survey, right?
That's true, too.
It could be overwhelmingly women listen to the soothing sounds of our voices, Mike.
You never know.
And look at our beautiful faces here on the live look-in, live.coasterradio.com on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
And they just don't like to do the surveys.
I don't know. Maybe.
They're shy. They're aloof. They're alluring.
Yeah. Alluring, yes. I'm looking at Spotify, though. It says 14%. Female in the audience. I don't know. I would love to get that number up. I would love to get that number up if we can. And I don't know.
Matt is saying there's not enough thongs in the store. Matt, I will have you know that I just added the thong to the store.
Did you really?
I did.
No.
I did. So yeah, go to coasterradio.com, scroll down. You can see the link to the t-shirt shop.
Oh, wait,
the t-shirt shop is not just t-shirts anymore, Mike.
Wait, what is it? Coasterradio.printify?
Is it printify.com/coasterradio or coasterradio.com/printify? I can't ever remember.
Oh my gosh, it's there. I see it. It's coasterradio.printify.me.
Coasterradio.printify.me or go to coasterradio.com and scroll down to the link for the Coaster Radio t-shirt shop. We do have the thong. It's an attractive thong, Mike. It's a nice one. It is white with a black stretchy waistband. And it's got the coasterradio.com 20th season logo on the front and the alternate logo on the back.
Oh, it does. It does.
And I also posted on there the coasterradio.com boho extra large tasseled beach towel.
Oh, look at that. I like
that too. Which is totally dope. It's really cool.
I would bring that to the beach. Look at that.
It's really nice. I really like that one. I'm proud of that.
That's gigantic. Look at it. They have a picture of it actually on like a beach layout.
Covers the whole thing. Yeah. It's like, I think it's like 32 inches by 83 inches with tassels on the ends. A Coaster Radio beach towel. Take it to the water park. It's really cool. And then you can wear your thong while you're out there.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah.
Yeah.
This is not a good. I don't like that we don't have your brother on the podcast anymore
I know.
to talk about the thong as much as he used to.
Well, here I'm
long-time listeners.
So, like I said, it is my birthday this weekend. There's a big get-together. I'm going to see him, and I will record his reaction as I show it to him. I'll show it to him on the phone.
The thong is back. Yes,
we will play his reaction here on Coaster Radio next week.
People, just go to the website. What is it? coasterradio.printify.me. or go to coasterradio.com and find the link. And Mike, just the picture of, we got a model wearing the thong. I'm just trying to say.
It's a fetching lady. Yes, you're right. Very nice. Very nice.
If you want to see a butt.
With the Coaster Radio logo on it. That's what's amazing. Although
the best of both worlds.
Yeah, it's a throwback. It's a throwback to the first season. I like it.
Coasterradio.printify.me.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, let's get back into the demographics here of the survey, Mike.
There's no better way to get more women.
100% of the listeners want a thong in the t-shirt shop. So
how about that? Yes.
Mission accomplished. Great. Next one. Next survey question.
All right. So this is interesting to find out the ages of our listeners. And so I don't know. I mean, there's, of course, like for marketing and for advertising, they want people, I guess, between like 25 and 44. That's where the majority of our audience is, between 25 and 44. What is it? It's like 30, 40, 57% of the audience is there.
All right, good. Yeah, great.
But we're kind of all over the place. 18% of the audience is 45 to 54.
That's me and you.
Yeah, I know. 18 to 24, we're only at like 7%. So the young audience is kind of, I don't know if they're listening to these type of podcasts, or maybe they're listening to some of the other ones.
I think now that we're on YouTube, that's going to go up.
Yeah, maybe
that's where they're at.
Yeah, and that's what you talked about, and that's one of the reasons why we're making a big push this year to put video content, like what you are hearing right now. It is on YouTube, but a video version where you can actually see me and EB. And like last week with Arthur Levine, we are cutting in videos of the roller coasters we were talking about. So we're making a big push for that too. Hopefully next year we'll see that number, the 18 to 24. Be higher. So that's pretty interesting. I like this next question. We ask people where they live, and it's fun to see. It's all over the place, man. It really is. Like it is most of the states in the union, but also a lot of places overseas too.
Yeah, and this was one that I think we saw in the comments later in the survey where somebody said, I'd love to see a heat map of where coasterradio.com listeners are. I think, do we have all 50 states here on this survey, Mike? Because some years we don't have quite all 50, but I think some years we have hit all 50. And then we also have in the past actually done that where we have the map where people can put the pin down, the Frapper map and that sort of thing. It could be a fun thing to do again.
Yeah, through our hosting, we can see where people download, and we are in all 50 states and a ton of countries overseas. It's actually funny. Do you want to know our top 5 countries?
Yeah.
I could even do our top 10 countries if you want. It's kind of hilarious. Here, let me go top 10 countries.
I feel like I could guess, right? The U.S.
All right, yes.
Right? The U.K.?
UK is number 2.
Germany?
Nope. Germany is number 6.
Number 6. Australia?
Australia is number 5.
Number 5.
You'll never guess number 4.
Canada?
Canada's number 3.
Number 3.
You never guess number 4. I don't know why.
What's number 2? What's number 4?
So you got number 2. So 1 is US, 2 is United Kingdom, 3 is Canada. Number 4, I don't know why there are people in this country listening, but it's the number 4 ranked country. You'll never guess. It's crazy.
I will never guess.
Nope.
That it is Ireland.
No, it's the Netherlands. Is our 4th.
Oh, okay. I could have gone Norwegian. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure. No, we absolutely, in the surveys, we had a couple of people on the questions coming up here later. We're going to ask people in the survey, what podcasts do you listen to? A few people said, I listen to this Dutch podcast.
Yes, right.
At least a few people mentioned. Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. I should have guessed that.
Yeah.
Great.
So the other one's just 5 through 10, Australia, Germany, Finland, Chile, and Switzerland. And Belgium. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting. I love that. That. I want everybody who's listening to this podcast from one of those countries to call in a trip report or send us an email, because we need you guys to represent. We need to get some more international content here. So it is up to you to represent your nation.
Yeah, including the United States, we are listened to in 49 countries. So
that's cool.
There's that stat. Yeah, very interesting.
That's awesome.
Right?
That's awesome.
And it's not just like a few listen. It's not like somebody listened by accident. It's like big numbers in those. So
somebody listened by accident.
Yeah.
Why? What is this?
Yeah. I mean, like, for instance, Panama, we're not like setting the world on fire in Panama, but there are some people who are listening there for whatever.
Well, that's going to be America soon.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
That's going to go down.
They're listening. They're getting ready. Yeah. Then we're going to take over.
Good. Okay.
So anyway, so how many park visits do you make per year? This is always interesting because our show, I've never thought of our show as like a show for hardcore theme park enthusiasts. But when you take a look at these numbers here, and like take a look, number one answer was 30% of the audience saying between 3 and 5 visits a year. That's followed by 20% of the audience only going once or twice. So that's pretty interesting. Then 20% of the audience go to more than 20 parks per year. Pretty wild, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That's awesome. So yeah, half of the people that listen to the podcast visit more than 6 parks.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty good.
We do, sometimes when we have to classify the podcast, what genre is this podcast? We will say it's a travel podcast, and this is exactly why. You go to 6 different parks every year. You are a well-traveled person.
Absolutely. And then we ask, how much do you spend on yearly travel? The reason we ask that,
yep,
yeah, because the parks want to know, like, hey, if we're going to work with you, tell us about your audience. How much do they spend? Are they going to come to our park and spend money? So that's where we find these answers. Yeah. And
this is an expensive hobby. So yeah, this is again reflecting that we are sort of a travel podcast, and our listeners are, let's just be blunt, they're wealthy, well-traveled people.
Yeah. So 32% spending between $2,500 and $5,000 per year. 22% spending between $5,000 and $10,000 per year. And there's 6% of the audience that spends over $10,000 on travel per year. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, 2/3 of the audience over $2,500 a year.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
that's really good.
That's a lot.
I've always liked this. It's interesting to see how many listeners have been with us for a long time versus how many are just finding out about the show. We ask how long you have listened. Look at the pie chart there, EB. It's pretty even across all the answers. I guess the number one answer is 26% between 5 and 10 years, which is great. That's followed up by new listeners, 22% between 1 and 3 years. And then it kind of goes around for the other ones, like 20% been there 3 to 5. What's the longest? 8.5% have been with the podcast since it began.
Well, and more than half have been listening for 5 years or more.
Yes.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That really shows the longevity and the fact that we can keep people around for a long time, despite discovering new podcasts and finding new things to do. And people still like listening to coasterradio.com.
Right. We also asked how people found Coaster Radio. The number one answer was through a web search. That was followed by finding it on Spotify, which all of a sudden, Spotify and Apple Podcasts are neck and neck for where people find podcasts. It was always through Apple, but now Spotify's really taking off. So that's interesting. And I like this 10% found it through a friend's recommendation, which I think is fantastic.
I like this too. And there's some comments that we got later on in the survey that speak to this that I want to read to you. Yeah. Cool.
There are like 2 or 3 questions on here that are the most important to me. This is one of them. It says, I listen to new episodes, and we said right away, a few weeks after the release date, months after the release date, or the answer that I hate, I only listen to topics that interest me. I like this. 76% of the audience listen to the show right away.
Well, we've always talked about how the podcast primarily is a timely podcast. And the reason why we try to be very regular, very consistent, publishing week after week for 20 years is because it is kind of timely. When we talk about the news, especially, with quick hits and the first drop, you got to listen every week. And so that is reflected here. 76.2% listen right away. I do appreciate everybody that goes back and listens, from the very beginning over and over again. That's so fun and fantastic. It's a time capsule of sorts, but the podcast is designed for these 76.2. It's a timely podcast.
Yeah. And I like it. Only 3% classify themselves as listening to only the episodes where they like the topic. So that's good. Yeah. How do you receive the podcast? Let's see, 36% through Apple Podcasts, 33% through Spotify, and 17% through other apps. And look at all these, like people wrote in all these different things that they send it in. Like there's so many different places to get podcasts. So
there's like a dozen other ways that people catch their podcasts. But I'm expecting the survey for next year to see YouTube, especially now that we do the live.coasterradio.com look-ins Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, live.coasterradio.com. It's recorded. It's posted as a video podcast on YouTube. That statistic is going to change. We're going to see a lot of listeners on YouTube next year.
We asked people where they listen to the show. And if you remember
physically not on their app, but physically in the world, where do you listen?
Yep, that's right. And I remember when you and I started the show way back in 2005, we were hoping that people would listen to it in their cars on the way to a park or on a theme park trip. So it's funny that 40% of the audience listens while driving to work or school. So that's cool. 18% working around the house, 18% at work, which is always interesting. So I always wonder what type of work people are doing where they can play Coaster Radio. And then people wrote in with a ton of other answers, including like, biking, running, the gym, working around the house, all different types of stuff. So yeah, lots of different answers here.
Yeah, this makes sense.
Yeah. Here's one of those questions again that is really important to me. Do you listen to Coaster Radio as much as you used to? This I always use year to year to kind of track how we're doing. I like it to be around 90%. That's pretty good, I think. Historically we've been at 90%. This year, 89.2. Still listen as much as they used to.
Do you listen to Coaster Radio as much as you used to? So yeah, and I think that points to the fact that more than half of the listeners have been listening for 5 years or more. Yeah. It's a podcast that sustains its audience. Good for us.
Yeah. So I see, we'll talk about this a little later. Somebody talked about Coaster Radio, especially in the last couple of years, and just kind of like, where my life has been with, young kids and stuff, like kind of in a sustain mode. Like, we're just kind of trying to sustain it. We haven't been able to do some of the old, character segments and game shows like we used to. I feel that's changing and that's coming back more and more. I don't know if you guys agree that the last 4 episodes have had like kind of a renewed energy. I'm curious if that will change next year, if that will be way past 90. We'll see.
I think we're going to see that here, especially as we get into the comments and the short answer questions of the survey here, which is coming up next. People are really kind of putting their finger on the state of the podcast, and the state of the podcast is it's exciting. Right. It's enthusiastic. I think people are optimistic about the podcast. That's what we're going to see in these short answer questions.
Yeah. I like this question because it's fun to hear if we're not people's favorites, what podcast is their favorite? And that's what we ask people. And it's fun to see the different ones. A lot of people's favorites. A lot of people say you were my favorite theme park podcast, but I like this one better because it's about my favorite sports team, or it's about a talk show that I like or something. It's interesting, all the different ones we see here.
I like this question because it gives me ideas for podcasts I should listen to.
Yeah.
I do read all of these answers. Again, we value these surveys so much. We do read every single thing. The 2 I wanted to point out here, Mike, number 1, Smartless. Yes. If you haven't listened to Smartless with Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, and Will Arnett, real life Hollywood friends. There's also, is it Netflix that has the special where you can actually watch episodes of Smartless, their podcast? It's wonderful. So a couple of people mentioned that. Another one that I thought you might be interested in, Mike, I don't know if you saw it, 500 by Midnight.
Oh, yes. I actually listened to that
Las Vegas podcast. Somebody said that was their favorite. So that's another cool one that stuck out to me.
Yeah, they've been doing their show almost as long as ours. That's a long time.
500 by Midnight.
500 by Midnight's a great one, so that's good. So now we have a whole section where we ask people to help us make the podcast better. We ask them first, what is the best thing you heard on Coaster Radio? Because this question helps us realize, okay, these are things we should keep in the show.
Yeah, and this is really interesting. The best, the worst, what do you want to hear more of? What do you want to hear less of? Some of them it's very consistent, and then we take that to heart and we make changes to the show. Yeah. Other ones, you get the same thing on both lists.
Yes,
and that's where it really becomes like me and Mike just have to have veto power, and we're doing it anyway. So the best thing, this is what I wrote down. Trip reports. The best thing, they love trip reports. Trip reports not only from the listeners, but from you and me.
Right.
They love hearing episodes where you and I recall our trips to the parks. Another one, the Tiki Takeover.
Right.
A lot of people were really happy. They liked the Tiki Takeover. That was something different, unique, and fun. Coaster Damas
Right.
was something that people pointed out. And I don't know if that's just recency bias because we just did that. And then one listener, Riker, the coaster rider, he says he loves Coaster Damas and shout outs.
Oh, there we go. Yes.
He likes it when you call out listeners specifically. So there you go, Riker. That's for you. The Holiday Gift Guide and Arthur Levine. So again, I don't know if that's recency bias, but to me, what's sticking out is me and you getting to the parks, trip reports, and the Tiki Takeover.
Yeah,
I
there
want
you
to bring
go.
that back next summer.
Yeah. And you said exactly what I wanted to say, EB, is that the things on the list of people that they like were also on the list of things that people hated. Like, and the Tiki Takeover was exactly one of those things.
The worst thing I heard on coasterradio.com this year was the Tiki Takeover.
Right? Exactly.
So new listeners might not know this. So for 4 weeks in a row, we had we did tiki drinks. We mixed up tiki drinks with our friends from BG Reynolds, bgreynolds.com, the makers of fine cocktail mixers. And Mike made recipes. I made coasters, and we got drink stirs. We sent it out to the Snail Mail Club. It's been so much fun last summer doing the Tiki Takeover. People loved it or hated it, Mike. The worst thing I heard on Coaster Radio this year.
Yeah, EB, somebody wrote me an email and said, I just filled out the listener survey, but I wanted to tell you specifically, Mike, that the Tiki Takeover was the most egregious thing you have ever done on Coaster Radio. It was the worst thing I've ever heard. You need to seek help. That's what
seek help.
Well, he said I needed to seek help for like alcoholism or something like that from doing 4 weeks.
Because you made one drink and wanted to get a free Mai Tai bottle.
Yeah, exactly. And so he was upset thinking that you and I got paid like thousands of dollars from BG Reynolds to do that. We got paid.
No.
That was nothing. They sent us the ingredients. We wanted to have some fun.
No,
BG,
I'll tell you exactly the deal that BG Reynolds gave us. They were like, we like your podcast. What can we do? And we said, send us 4 bottles of mixers.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
And 100 drink stirrers.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
And that's all that we got. Swizzle sticks.
Yeah.
In 4 bottles.
So they sent us 4 and then 4 for listeners, and that's what we did.
Right.
So,
4 bottles for us and 4 bottles for the listeners. That's all it was.
It was for fun, not to like enrich and to put money in.
No, it was we were not. It was no mapleleaftickets.com situation. I promise you.
Right. Yeah. Right.
The worst thing I heard on coasterradio.com this year was number 1. Also, I think this one might have been number 1 beyond the Tiki Takeover. The worst thing. People don't like the mailbag. And then the runner-up behind that, I don't like that you changed the mailbag song. So people like the mailbag but don't like the new song.
Yeah. They're really upset about the Blues Clues and it being gone. But we can't do the Blues
That's
Clues.
how we can be on YouTube is we have to get rid of the copyrighted stuff. We have to toe that line carefully. So we can't do that. Haunt audio. People like trip reports from listeners, but they don't like trip reports from haunts, which I love, Mike. I love hearing somebody described it as all we hear is somebody screaming and then explaining why they screamed.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I love that. Especially if it's well narrated. Someone else also said people did not like the Our Coaster Enthusiast Scary episode.
Yes. Yeah.
That got a lot of criticism. And another one was I do not enjoy whenever you guys say we're going to break format and not do our first drop or quick hits. For me, that's the bread and butter of the show. And to not do those on so many episodes, I counted 12 this year. It was disappointing for me. Even if it makes the podcast episodes longer, I think having the first drop and quick hits are worth keeping in most of the time. Well, I'll tell you what, behind the scenes, we record those shows out of order and it's not timely. And that's why they're not there, or there's just not enough news that week. Right.
And doing 12 off format shows out of 49 isn't so bad. I don't think. If it was only 12, like that's a quarter, maybe, The
last worst thing that I wanted to mention, Mike, was EB making fun of Coaster Boys. It's like the pot calling the kettle black.
Oh,
no offense. Love you, EB. So I feel like that's 20 years of doing coasterradio.com. I came into this podcast not being a coaster boy, but I certainly can't escape it. So thank you for person pointing that out.
Yeah, and I found an interesting comment that was in there about it was from a woman, and she said that she didn't like the phrase coaster boy because she felt it excluded her. And I was like,
Coaster person?
Yeah, well, but I wrote back and I said, well, coaster boy isn't about gender. Coaster boy is like a state of mind. It's like you're like the coaster boy. Like the coaster boy is a real person. So like anybody can be a coaster boy, man, woman, doesn't matter. Like that's what I was trying to explain.
It's like a Karen, right? That's
Yes.
a real person.
Yes, right.
But a guy can be a Karen.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So you can be a coaster boy. So it's not about
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, so I want everyone to know that a coaster boy is like
Blue Diamond Coasters is pointing out in the chat room right now, live.coasterradio.com Wednesday nights. In the chat room, he says, if you want to have the quick hits and the first drop every week, there is a podcast just for that.
That's true.
And that's Theme Park News, our
That's
other
true.
podcast, our
That's
daily
true.
podcast,
Yes.
Theme Park News from Coaster Radio. So yeah, go find that in your podcatcher. We do have another podcast, a daily news podcast, Theme Park News.
That's true. We asked people what they want to hear during the 20th anniversary, and we got a lot of great ideas. A lot of different things, from interviews to people asking us go to IAPA. People want to hear a lot about Epic Universe, so that's coming up. But again, people wanting more trip reports from you and me. I think that's something we're hearing a lot of.
Yeah, you and me. I like that a lot. People calling out. I did trip reports. I think I visited. I went to Canada's Wonderland this year, Little America, Six Flags New England with Arthur Levine. That was so much fun. Dino and Dino's Wonder Wheel, and Coney Island. That was so much fun. So those trip reports people liked. They want meetups during the 20th anniversary of the show. They want more characters. They want those interviews. And yeah, IAPA. I think they want us to go back to IAPA, Mike.
Yeah. And also a lot of people asking us to go back into the archives and sort of bringing things forward.
That'd be cool.
That'd be fun too. So we'll do that as well. I always like it when we ask what guest to interview, because this is one of the most helpful things. People give us names of people that maybe haven't been on the show before. Did you see any on there that kind of made you think, yes, we definitely need those people?
Yeah, I mean, we saw there's a bunch of the same characters I think that we see every year on the coasterradio.com survey that we just need to reach out to and get the connection. If you have a personal connection, that's what we also say, I think, every year. If you have a personal connection to any of these folks, let us know, because that always helps to say, drop a name and say, come and be a interview subject on coasterradio.com because this person is a fan and they're also your friend, rather than us just cold calling. So yeah, a lot of familiar names in the industry and with the parks on this list.
I want to bring up something here that's bothered me for a couple years now. And I'm not going to get into names or specifically who this is or who they were talking about, but we interviewed somebody on the show that is somebody who's out there in theme park enthusiasm, YouTube, all that stuff. And they're one of those people that either love them or hate them, I think. They have huge fans, people who love them, but also people who dislike them, too.
You are describing so many people.
I know. See, it could be anybody. Yeah. So I'm keeping it,
good.
So to where you can't tell. A fan of ours, a friend of ours, who's been listening for a long time and has been a part of the show, was so upset that we interviewed those people on the show that they said, I'm done with you. I'm done with you. You will not hear from me anymore. I am not listening anymore. The fact that you had those people on the show, you're dead to me, is essentially
a single serving of Coke.
Yeah. Remember them? I remember.
Is that who it was?
I think that's who it was. I was shocked by that you could feel so. I mean, I appreciate that you can feel so strongly about a person that way, but why would you cut the podcast off when we're just trying to make contact and trying to make content and just interview different people and hear from different places and get different opinions and stuff? Like, that's what the show is about. And so that shocked me that a guest could be
that
generate
divisive.
that type of divisiveness.
Sure.
Yeah, I was really shocked by that. And so I hope that was just a one person thing, and maybe and that other people don't feel like that. But I would think that even if you
want more controversial guests, that sounds fantastic.
Well, right, like even if there's a YouTuber out there that you don't like, you might find it interesting to hear them on this show, to hear like EB interact with them. Like that's something different, to hear us like maybe question them or something like that, or talk about the controversy and stuff. I would think that would be interesting, but that you could separate your hate of them for what we are doing here. That was very interesting to me, and it's bothered me for years. So I just wanted to bring that up.
I'm so sorry it's bothered you for that long. But yeah, it is. This is a really interesting question, is who should we interview? So we appreciate everybody's suggestions here. Again, we do make notes. We do reach out to a lot of people that you suggest. But again, if you do have a personal connection to somebody that you suggested, or if you are that person, tell us. Feedback at coasterradio.com.
Yeah. Is there anybody on this list that you saw that you're like, yes, that's somebody that we need, like somebody we haven't had on before?
I'd like to talk to Don Helbig again.
Yeah.
Right. That's a great and he's been so active, I feel like, on social media now that he's left Kings Island. He wants to talk about his experience. He wants to talk about, what he's done with the parks. I feel like he's trying to establish a legacy of sorts, and I would be happy to help him with that.
Yeah. There's a segment I've always wanted to do, and we've never done it, but I want to call it "Who the Hell Are You?" And basically, it's like take these YouTubers. Like, there's that guy in England who I see all the time. I think his name is Sean. Like, I see him all the time. Like, he and his wife are running around theme parks. Like, I just want to say, like, who the hell are you? Like, I see you all the time. Tell me who you are. What's going on? Like, El Toro Ryan. Like, wait, how did you get to be doing what you're doing? Marcus LeShock, we always see that guy running around. So it's just like a funny way just to say, like, well, who are you? And tell us something more than what we just see on your YouTube channel. I think would be fun.
I love that. I think that's something we've talked about for a while, and it is a best practices in the podcast industry, Mike, to cross-pollinate and talk to other podcasters. So that's a great idea. That's a great way to go. We should.
Yeah. I want to talk to the guy from Defunctland too. I've always wanted to talk with him. I think that would be interesting. I think that would be probably have a lot in common there too. And so we asked, what podcast should we do a crossover episode with? And
exactly, right.
All the favorites: In the Loop, Podcast The Ride, Coaster 101, The Drunk Riders, Park Stop, Coasters and Brews, Adam
Everybody
the Woo.
You'd expect.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people wanting Adam the Woo on the show for a long time. Even Lou Mangello. Should we do a Lou Mangello interview this year?
Well, we could just swirl in with Lou Mangello. With the chocolate and the vanilla, Mike.
I would like a Lou Mangello interview. I think I'd be happy. Jim Hill would be another one. Like,
okay,
from
cool.
the Disney Dish. Like, there are people we've never had on the show. I think we ought to get them on. I think that would be good.
Next year's survey is going to be, you guys did too many collabs with other podcasts.
Yeah, right. That's it. Do you listen to theme park news from Coaster Radio? 57% of the audience saying they do. So that's good. That's more than
I don't believe you. I don't believe you, Mike. Do the stats bear that out, Mike? Because I don't know if you guys do. Theme Park News from coasterradio.com, our daily podcast. You can listen to it through the coasterradio.com app. We do have a Coaster Radio app in the Apple Store. Download it, listen to it, use it. It's got both podcasts on there. You can add it as a flash briefing or as an update on your smart speaker device. But then Theme Park News from Coaster Radio is also available wherever you listen to podcasts as a daily. It's like 4 minutes long with headlines, Mike. It's great.
Yeah. We also asked people if they have downloaded the Coaster Radio iPhone app. 40% said yes.
Good.
30% said no.
What's your problem?
30% don't have an iPhone.
What is your problem?
Yeah. And I know Cincinnati John was talking to a listener who was working on the Android version of it, but then I think he just disappeared. So I don't know what happened with that, but it was happening at one point. But I think maybe the guy was like, I got some other things I got to do. Yeah.
Typical Android user, Mike.
There we go. And so we're sending, you guys wrote in a bunch of feature requests for the app. We're going to send all those to Cincinnati John. So we'll get those to him. And then we kind of wrap things up. We said, what do you like best about the show?
Yeah, now we're getting into it, Mike. This is sort of the same as what do you want to hear more of? People always give you and me great compliments. It's so nice to read those compliments. We read them. Mike and EB are so much fun. The listeners really like the interactivity.
Yeah.
So whenever we do a listener question, this goes into the mailbag again. This goes into the live look-ins when we do those, the games, so the interactivity people like. And then I like this one, Mike. I think this was a really nice compliment for us. I like that there is a predictable format to the show. Other shows seem to ramble. While you two go off on tangents, there's always thought to your shows. The shows are consistently about an hour long, and the quality of sound is top notch. So just the overall quality and structure of the show, we're broadcast professionals. We try to do it right. And I am happy to read that as one of the comments for that question.
Yeah. And I think you and I work hard to keep the sound levels even, and
I hope I'm sounding better, because that was something that I think here, what do people like the least? People complained about my microphone. I think that's been consistent over 20 years, Mike.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what? I mean, we did work behind the scenes on adding a compressor to your mic.
I feel like it's better now.
I feel like it's better. So.
If it's not the next step, I think is a new XLR microphone. I'm going to have to get this a standalone audio interface and then go into the laptop.
Right. That might be it.
We'll have to do next.
That might be the next thing. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else here for what do you like least about the podcast? Anything else?
In terms of least? Yeah. I mean, people talk, they talk about politics, but also we're complimented that over this last year, politics did not creep into the show. And I think
not as much.
It was hard. It was like the most political time in our country's history. And I think that we sort of kept it out.
Yeah. Season 20, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see. People, it's funny. The same thing that people love, there are other people who dislike it. And that's what kind of is funny, but also maddening in a way too, that like.
Speaking of maddening,
we
had a lot of people say that don't like the Ushka Ushka song.
Oh, I know. Yes. Yeah.
And the Let's Go Somewhere Cool. I think we should play it right now just to spite those people, because I like it so much. I love the Ushka Ushka and Let's Go Somewhere Cool song. I sing it all the time when I'm going somewhere cool. I literally do. It's like I'm going out to eat and it's like, let's go somewhere cool.
Ushka, Ushka.
I tell Stephanie, it's like, do it. There it is, right?
Ushka, Ushka.
Yeah, I love that song, but people hate that song. So the person who made that song, I forget who you are. The listeners hate it. I love it. Yeah. Just so you know.
Yeah. Also,
that's all.
Well, whoever wrote that should not feel bad. Who wrote that? It was I can't. I'm dropping his name, but I
don't remember if anybody in the chat room remembers. But whatever it is, I do say that anytime I'm waiting for Stephanie to get ready to go. We're trying to go out, and I just sing it at her. Let's go. Right, we're packing for a trip, loading suitcases into the car every single time.
Yes. And I just remembered Huddy Ray. Wasn't it Huddy Ray who wrote?
There you go. There you go. Not the Thusi Mob.
Yes, there we go. Yes.
Not the Thusi Mob. That's another. No. That's another musical group that submitted stuff for the show.
Yeah.
Thusi Mob.
No, like sometimes people are harsh, man. Like, so like the show opened for Coaster Radio. Like I was talking about this a couple of weeks ago. I worked on that for like 3 weeks. Like it was just a lot of like. Recording harmonies, recording like new chords, doing auto tuning on the voice, a ton of work. And then I just read on like Twitter or something that somebody's like, the new Coaster Radio song is garbage. It's like, okay, fine. Yeah.
Ushka, Ushka.
But it's hard, man, when you work on something for that long and then somebody's just casually like, it's garbage.
Garbage.
It's garbage. Yeah.
I do like that people also say, what do you like the least? The fact that we have ads. It's like, do you listen to podcasts?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but we have ads. But the one person said specifically, and I thought I'd read it out. Annoying ads that I have heard 19 quadrillion, 287 trillion, 644 billion, 287 million, 319,687 times.
Yeah.
So they listen to the podcast a lot. That was probably Matt, because he's listened through the show so much.
Well, the thing that annoys me about the ads is that the hosting company does not, I guess, ask the companies that submit the ads to like have the audio levels be equal.
Yeah, sometimes they're really loud, sometimes they're quiet, sometimes they're in Spanish.
Exactly, right? Yeah, I get Spanish ones sometimes. Yeah, it's weird, but like sometimes our show is at a certain level, like it's at the level it should be, but then like the McDonald's ads comes in and it's like super low, and then there's one that's like way louder. It just, they need to get on that, but there's a lot of great stuff here that really helps us, like looking at
we
best
do
and
appreciate
worst. It really is good.
constructive criticism.
Another one of those important questions. This year, the content and quality of Coaster Radio has improved, declined, or been consistent. 73% said been consistent.
Good.
22% said improved, and 4.5% said declined.
I'll take it.
I'll take it too. This goes to what I was saying a little while ago about how the show the past couple of years has just kind of been on cruise control, I think. That number for been consistent, well, actually, the number for improved has been higher in years past. I think if you look back at 2020, 2021, it was higher. So that inspires me just to, keep pushing forward here in this season 20. And it would be interesting to go back next year and see if improved jumps up a little bit, maybe even more than been consistent. I think that would be great to see. Yeah. And then we asked, how would you rate the podcast? Let's see, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best, 37% said 10, 34% said 9. And we didn't get anything below a 6. One person gave us a 6. And so the biggest, close to 70% said 9 or 10. So we do appreciate that.
I love the people that take the survey. I hate the show. I never listen.
Yes, right. Yeah, there are those.
But thank you for doing the survey. Appreciate it.
Yeah, one person who hated the show and took the survey took me to task, saying that I don't. It's obvious you don't know anything about podcasting. Podcasting doesn't have seasons. I was like, yes, there are a lot of podcasts with seasons. I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, he was yelling at me saying you call yourself a broadcaster, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
Mike is not a broadcaster; he's a broader caster.
Yes, there you go. Okay. That's right. I have been. Yeah, and don't get me wrong. The constructive criticism is great because it really helps.
We do like it.
Yeah, like people who say hey, I'm not a fan of this, but here's what would make it better, or here's something different you could do. That is the most valuable stuff. So we appreciate that so much, and appreciate everybody who took the survey. It's a good response this year from everybody. Really good.
Yeah, really good. But the last question here: do you have a message for Mike and EB? This is that personal comment area here, Mike, and I think this is where we kind of get the tear in our eye because some of y'all leave some really personal stuff. We've had some really emotional things, in the past, and again, we do read every single comment. I'm really happy that we've got new listeners. This is my favorite section of the survey. This person writes, "I love being able to share my heartfelt thank you with the two of you for this amazing podcast. I'm 16. I've been listening since I was 11.
Wow.
And I'm so excited for the next few years of listening to the podcast. Cheers," from Edinburgh. Somebody else says, "I found you guys a year ago from a friend's recommendation. I've never liked podcasts. They haven't been able to keep my attention as I find them repetitive and droning, but I look forward to your episodes every week." So again, that friend recommendation, Mike, I love that. Mm-hmm. Another one here says, "As I type this, Spotify tells me I've listened to 12,500 minutes of your podcast in 2024.
Wow. Wow.
As I go through the back catalog on my drives each day." And Mike, I did the math. That's 208 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Of Coaster Radio.
Wow.
That's awesome. Another one, I've dropped off the Coaster Radio radar the past few years, but I'm back. Watch out. What's that mean?
What does that mean?
This is the answer to the question, do you have a message from Mike and EB? I'm back. Watch out.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. And the last one here is that I wanted to read was, "Do you have a message for Mike and EB? Apollo's chariot is mid."
Yeah, there we go. Yes.
There you go. Good.
There it is.
Good.
So yeah, man.
So great. Love the survey. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much. The audience always steps up. That's what I love about this podcast, is that whenever we need help on something, the audience steps up. And I like hearing from people that sometimes we don't hear from, like the people who, never do a contest or never send emails or something. It's kind of fun when there are a couple people who took the survey who said, "I have never participated. It's my first time."
Yep.
So we love hearing from you. So there are a lot of you out there who we never hear from. I hope in this season 20, we do hear from you, especially in the game shows, or just send us an email or something. It's great to hear from people for the first time.
Yeah, the interactivity is the core of the show. We saw that again in the survey. So thank you all again for completing the survey. It really means a lot to us. support the show, interact with the show, go to the t-shirt shop, buy a thong, buy a beach towel, buy a shirt.
I can't believe
Whatever.
that thong is
Go
back.
to coasterradio.com, scroll down, you'll find the t-shirt shop right there at coasterradio.com. Also, those referral links that help the show, hotels.com if you're going on a trip, amazon.com if you're doing any kind of shopping. Go to coasterradio.com first, click on the link. Patreon.com/coasterradio is really the best way to support the show month after month. Get a subscription. Patreon.com/coasterradio. There's perks, there's bonus content. You can keep this content coming week after week. And with the Theme Park News Daily Show, day after day. Mike, we say thank you to our patrons at the $20 level.
They are Alex Payne, Brian Wackler, Chris Rankin, Cincinnati Nick, the Sweatshirt Guy, our friends at Club Z, the Two Bearded Coaster Chris's, CM Venom, Colton Toms, David Sakala, Dino, Grace, and John Brody.
Also, John Brown, Josh Combs, Justin Padilla, Karen and Lee Howerin, Kevin Wilson, Kyle Kiefer, our friends at Made to Thrill, Matt Walker, Michael Foucault, Paolo de los Reyes, Rich Barber, Rick Burnley, Shane Mankiewicz, our friends at The Thrill Nerds, Tom from Louisville, and Zachary Carpenter.
And you heard us talk about the new logo for our 20th season. That is courtesy of Lindner Design Company. They specialize in branding, illustration, and small batch custom apparel. You can find them on Instagram at Lindner_design. And we want to thank Kyle so much for that. It's all over the place. It's on some new, like we talked about the one sheet earlier, some marketing materials we're putting together. It looks really good and definitely getting a good response out there. So we appreciate it.
CoasterRadio.com, established 2005. Thank you guys so much for listening. Remember, next week is the Ultimate, our game show. Be sure to join us February 12th. That's a Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We need you here at live.coasterradio.com. Thank you guys so much for listening.
You've been listening to Coaster Radio, the original theme park podcast. To learn more about the show and hear hundreds of episodes from the archives, visit our website at coasterradio.com. This is your announcer, Neil Patrick Harris. Thanks for listening. Peace out, suckers. Coaster Radio is a production of Lift Hill Media, LLC. Audio and video from this program may not be broadcast, edited, or reproduced without our express written permission. Copyright 2025, all rights reserved. This was all done in one breath.